Serena had seen but dismissed the beatings she saw in the movies with their rehearsed agony. She almost found the scenes in the films a bit comical and felt that surely they were exaggerated. But this experience, it was nothing like she imagined it to be. Finding herself just an arm's length away from the horror, the blood splashing upon her with every lash, was a total and absolute shock to the senses. After all, hadn't they over-exaggerated the struggle and what it meant to be black? She found herself face to face and now inescapably and inexplicably attached to the very label she had shrugged off and dismissed her entire life. The label of being black, instead of the all-American white girl that she'd always imagined herself to be. Being adopted by the richest Italian family in her town, it was assumed by she and everyone around her that she was like them, an Italian-American, aka white by U.S. standards girl. So as if finding out her maternal grandmother was black wasn't shocking enough to the system, Serena had been thwarted from her cushy life in 2009 back in time into a plantation in the antebellum South in the year 1859. Instead of a trip to the mall with friends or hanging out poolside at her estate where her only interaction with them was as the help, she found herself standing there living a page from the very history book her annoying social studies teacher had taught her from. Standing in this new reality, Serena had no choices, no freedoms, and no escape. So there she found herself lodged in time, hands bound and throbbing, senses ignited and forced to smell the fear and see the sweat dripping from his brow. Seeing this man that she had grown to love savagely beaten until his strong, rigid body grew limp from submission devastated Serena in ways that she could not explain. The overseer joked and cackled as he twirled his whip, cracking it once more across his back and making a final statement as her friend had already expired from the barbarism. At least now he was free, she thought. Every single prospect of escape dwindled away and traded itself for fear and sheer, pathetic hopelessness. Serena stared brutality in the face and subdued resistance just as the others had. She, the one who always said that she would never stand for such vile atrocities, had not only witnessed it and done nothing, but it was all her fault. None of her knowledge of the future and how things would someday be could save her now. She felt as if there was no escape. No one questioned the conditions or the fact that they were owned. No one stood for him or rescued him from death. The bleakness of it all was as commonplace as the tobacco and the cotton in the fields to them. And this is when she felt broken. This is the very moment that the terror set in, and the fear that she may never escape took over her very soul. That night, after his blood was washed from her face and ropes removed from her hands, Serena walked bemused back to the dimly lit shanty that was now her home. Her thoughts consuming her as she found herself chained to an ancestral past that she never knew. She couldn't escape. She had no idea how she had gotten to this horrible place. She was trapped in every essence of the word, and there she sat, unable to even sob. Her hopes of making a getaway now doomed to failure, she found herself floating adrift in a seemingly endless cycle of systematic oppression. This was her America, the one she loved and pledged her allegiance to every morning in her homeroom class. Freedom, the once insignificant, simple, presupposed, and repetitiously uttered word, now held a new value in her mind, and she wondered if she would ever taste it again.